We'll hop
So
in.
I'm into it.
Good deal. Well, Carol, it's great to meet you. Thank
Yeah,
you
great
so
to
much
meet
for
you,
taking
Joe.
a minute out today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So, before we get into your life, I want to know this. 6 years ago, this pandemic was changing our world, changing the way that we did things. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you do things today?
Well, I sold my business in the depths of COVID winter. I sold my first business, my previous community
Yeah.
at that moment because it was an inflection point for that business. Because when people get laid off and stuff, they want to be freelance writers. So it was like the numbers were going up. It was a great moment to be shopping it around, and it was incredibly intense and scary and bizarre to sell my business to people I could never be in a room with. And so and then we bought the RV. We bought the RV so we could travel during COVID and not have to, be in going through hotel lobbies and whatever,
Yeah.
so we could isolate and travel.
So, let's talk about what you're doing today. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day, and one of them wants to know what you do for a living. How do you
Mhm.
synthesize what you do and make it make sense to them?
Well, I help people bring people together online who are interested in something in common. They're around a common interest. You probably have communities in real life that you are a part of, and I help people form those online for people who kind of can't form them in person for the interest that they have. They need a broader base of people to find their community.
So, what was the business that you sold?
It was a paid community for freelance writers
Okay.
and a blog and the Twitter and all the parts of it.
Yeah.
Bunch of ebooks I wrote.
Okay. So let's go back to how we evolved to this point. What did you want to be when you were 12 or 13 and you were at career day? What was your dream job?
A rock star.
Okay.
My first kind of writing was songwriting,
Yeah.
and then I got into journalism and was a staffer for 12 years at two publications, and then was freelancing again. And blogs had been invented, and I started one and saw that other freelance writers were not earning six figures like I had decided I was going to do during the 0809 downturn, which is what I did. And I just started posting about how I was doing that. Basically, that's how it all got started.
So take me back to your beginnings. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Culver City and lived in the San Fernando Valley in
Okay.
California.
Okay.
And
So what
I
were
don't
the
know.
early seeds of writing and journalism and being an entrepreneur and a community advocate? How did all of these things get planted early on and evolve into this life, this professional life you've cultivated?
Well, my dad was in business for himself, and he was an independent insurance agent, and I think he was kind of ahead of his time, telling his two girls they could be whatever they wanted to be in life. And um, my sister and I both ended up with our own businesses. My sister was a longtime attorney, and now she's a professional mediator and runs that business from home. And yeah, I don't know. I was a journalist and I was a business journalist, and then I stopped talking to other people about their businesses and made my own. And I wasn't the only one from my business journal in Seattle who did that. I think we all eventually hit a point. The guys who founded GeekWire, one of them was from my same publication at the same time as me.
Okay.
And then I got sucked back into the world of community by a mentor of mine about a year ago.
So speaking of music, that's what you mentioned first. What was the first concert you ever went to? What was the first memory of something that blew you away?
My first concert when I was 14 was Maria Muldaur opening for the Grateful Dead at the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's way up on the mountain for a first time
it
experience.
was so good. They played like Shake It Sugary for like a half an hour.
Wow.
Alone, that alone.
Yeah. I saw them in Seattle in 95
Mm,
before Jerry passed. and I
Mm,
just wanted to see him. I hadn't seen him, and I'm like, I'm here. I was visiting some friends, and it was
that was
amazing. I'd never
that
seen
was my
anything like it.
first night that I ate pizza too. I didn't like
Wow.
pizza, but all my other friends wanted to go have pizza before it, so I ate it. That was like the first time I ever ate it.
Wow. That's
So,
pretty cool.
and I was a year ahead in school, so I was in high school, I
Okay.
think, or maybe late junior high.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
No, I was in high school because I was 16 still when I graduated.
So let me ask you this, as far as writing is concerned, what were books? What were some, or journalists, or who was really swaying you in the beginning?
I was just playing rock and roll in clubs in LA.
Okay.
And then I wrote an essay about that for the alternative press in an essay contest and won, and someone gave me $200 as a prize. And I just went, oh, and kind of never looked back, like gave my recording equipment away. I was like, I found a kind of writing they just pay you for.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, so just I just kind of went off. I call myself the last person they let in the door without a J school degree to do reporting. It was sort of right at the end of the era where you just learned it at your paper, and
yeah.
where you needed to go to school for it.
So were there any journalists or any writers that you emulated, that you looked up to, that you liked their style or what they were doing?
Yes, and one of them I got to meet out on an assignment when I was writing for the alternative press. Bob Poole at the LA Times.
Yeah.
So the way it went was won that contest, won another contest at the LA Times real estate section, and they asked me to write features for them, and it all just kind of rolled from there. But so obviously I was reading, I'm a reader, I was always a reader, and I was Bob Poole was the like general assignment reporter at the LA Times. They would make him do anything and everything. They would make him go be a Santa for Christmas and write about it, or just he was just such a utility player, and I just loved his writing. And one time I was on a gig and I he was also on it.
That's awesome.
And he had the tiniest little notebook, just like like this teeny little square he was writing. And I was like, Bob Poole, you're not recording anything. And he was like, I don't have time to listen to that. I got a file at 3 o'clock.
Wow.
Out of here. And yeah, so I mean, just the people in, Robert Hilburn, of course, was the LA Times critic for music. So of course I was always reading him and his idolatry of Chrissy Hind and all this stuff that was going on at the time that I was like in high school.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? When I was in journalism in college, that's where I started, and I was doing
Oh, that's
sports.
funny.
So I remember that world well, and people used to write shorthand. Was that what he was doing with that?
I learned to write shorthand because I was an executive secretary, not official shorthand, but I had kind of gotten half a shorthand class, and I
Yeah.
had my own sort of fake hand way of abbreviating stuff so I could take notes in person and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It just
And I type 120. So
okay.
that's comes in
It,
handy in my other business I have
yeah.
going, which is that I ghostwrite books for people.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. But it just seemed like wingding calligraphy. It was all weird. Like I couldn't wrap my head around shorthand, so I just always had the audio recorder. But it's like you got to
but that can
duplicate your
fail
image.
you.
Yeah,
That
it
can,
can.
we never trust that.
Yeah,
Always take notes.
yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. It's a failsafe. So let me ask you this: who has been an inspirational force for you in your career, from journalism to
Mm.
entrepreneurism to community building? Who
Mm.
has been that for you?
A man discovered me on a virtual bar stool in Shrafts, as I like to say. His name is John Morrow, and at the time he was an editor of Copy Blogger,
Yeah.
which was sort of the first mover writing blog to go very big. And he can only move his face. He has spinal muscular atrophy, and he says eventually he'll only be able to blink. And
Wow.
he had built multiple businesses, and yeah, he's the one who approached me to get back into community. He's the one who sucked me back into community. Danny Iny at Miracy. There's another guy who does physical products now, but he was very into the internet. Derek Halpern. I'd say those were kind of three people who discovered my blog and reached out to me and wanted to talk to me and work with me and help me and just
Yeah.
help me get into the online biz world because, I had been in journalism. I'd never sold anything to anyone. So,
So it's clear you've been successful in your career. Is there ever been points where you've looked back and thought, I wish I would have went into music. I wish I would have continued to be a musician.
hmm. I mean, that would have been great if it had worked in a way, but like, would I be married 43 years to my husband if that had happened? I don't know,
Right.
you know? Um, I don't spend a lot of time on like regrets and what if scenarios
Sure.
like that. Would I have my three kids? It's hard to imagine it going any other way at this point. It's sort of too late
Yeah.
for that. It is what it is. I was able to provide for my family. My husband, once we adopted that unexpected third kid, my husband developed a seizure disorder and I needed to replace his income. And that was sort of the time period where I built this first community business. And I don't know.
Yeah. I no, I get it.
We wanted to kill that girl for a lot of years, but
Right.
now she's the best one. Now she's the nicest of all of them.
Yeah. So
So,
let me ask you this. What was one of the most exciting journalistic stories that you covered as a journalist? What was the one that
hmm,
rises to the top?
I know, boy. I got to do a lot of stuff. Um, for years at the Puget Sound Business Journal, I was uh, kind of the lead on their annual corporate giving section. And for that, I got to interview um, Howard Schultz and Jim Sinegal at Costco and oh, oh God, great Jewish guy. He's local jewelry chain that was bought by Berkshire Hathaway. But getting to talk to them, very powerful and successful people about what mattered to them,
Yeah.
what they were doing in philanthropy, the difference they wanted to make in the world. I super enjoyed that, and I did a piece with the CEO of Eddie Bauer after he recovered from a stroke he had in a staff meeting.
Wow.
And that might be my favorite piece I've gotten to write. Just it was, and he quit the business. He went into full-time working for the Catholic Archdiocese.
Wow.
And yeah, it totally changed his life and just him, being really open and sharing that with me was amazing. So I don't know, I'm a business dork. I hang out with a lot of business folks and do business and I guess, when I got this job, it was because my husband's job in TV was ending when
Yeah.
I got the first business reporting job. And I just thought, oh, this is going to be really boring. And I had been writing about like communities and protests and issues in communities for the alternative press, which I was very into and fired up about, but it doesn't pay anything. And I just took it, because we needed money. And I thought, well, this will be really boring, but maybe I could like slog through it through a year. And that first job, like 5 years went by in a blink.
Wow.
The ultimate soap opera. Fortunes are made and lost. And, I just was completely sucked in. And that's how I became a business dork.
So let me ask you this, and I understand what you're talking about because I'm primarily in music, but there is a fascination to that entrepreneurial mindset and how things work and what makes people tick. So let me ask you this. The thing about journalism is that when you get it in your bloodstream, it's like when people get tattoos. They say when you get one, you're going to get more. It will never get out. Yeah, you always
Skyline junkiedom.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So if is there anybody right now on the business landscape or alive on the planet journalistically that you would love to cover or interview?
Hmm. Hmm. Um, yeah, God, who's the woman at the New York Times who's been covering Trump for years now? Um, And now I'm blanking on her name.
I know who you're talking
I
about.
don't know if she's still there doing it, but for years, yeah, she was on him, and I just thought her coverage was so great and, under unbelievably challenging
Yeah.
circumstances. Um, I had a dream in which I didn't become a rock star, but instead I joined the Seattle Times I team, the investigative team. They did a piece about coaches in girls soccer, coaches who prey on girls, and that was amazing. They've done some amazing, amazing, important work.
Yeah.
You know, in those chats where you're like, who are you? Where are you from? And what's your superpower? I'm always like cloning because, I would love to do all the things.
Yeah.
I'd love to just ghostwrite books and just run my new online business and just be a mom and
Uh-huh.
just chant Torah at my synagogue and and
Yeah.
serve my community and all the stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So when you go into this idea that you're going to get an RV and you're going to travel and you're going to see the country, what was the difference between the dream of doing it and actually living that life? What's been the
hmm.
revelations of that?
How much we like it.
Yeah.
We didn't, when we started, we didn't know we would do it full time. We went on a 3-month tryout trip one winter to just see what it would feel like to be out of Seattle and have a good time and,
Yeah.
just go do things. And we just really liked it. And we came back. We thought we were going to sell the house, but kids were bouncing back. And then finally we hit a point where none of them were home. And like the next morning, my husband was like, we should sell our house now, shouldn't we? And I was like, yes, we should. So there was like a 3-year delay of kind of our plan to go full time with it. And what kind of made it happen was a cousin of mine moved to Seattle, and it's like one of those my favorite cousin kind of people. We loved her husband, and they had a baby. I don't have any grandkids, and he's kind of become my faux grandchild. And they have a long, flat driveway. And I just asked her, I was like, if we went full time in the RV, like, could we live in your driveway? When we're in town, we won't be in town all the time, but when we're there. And she said yes in like 1 second. Like she just said yes.
Yeah.
And she's just a super open-hearted person, and it's been incredible to get to be that close to family that I really like. And I feel like that was when we were like, yeah, we see how this could work. We'll be out of town then, and then we'll be at Selena's, and we'll go here and there. We'll camp some around Seattle too. There's obviously great camping in the Northwest.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it all in the Southwest.
Yeah.
And so then hmm, I guess we sold 18 months ago. So I think this is our second winter trip since we went full time. And so the first trip was 3.5 months, and the next trip was 4.5 months, and this one is 5.5 months. So I sense a trend.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. When you either the alarm clock goes off or you decide to get up in the morning and you're doing your thing, what is the motivation for you to do your work at a high level, motivate people, take care of your soul? What is that for you every day?
I feel like from very young, when I was young and we had money problems, I would see my dad walk up and down. We had a corner house in Van Nuys, and he would walk up and down on the corner, just thinking about how to work his way out of the problem. And that, he worked so hard. He would get up at 6 a.m., leave after breakfast, come home and have dinner with us, and go back out and do night calls in people's homes to sell individual policies that early in his career. And but the idea that he kind of had that control over what to do when he was making his own schedule, I think that definitely appealed to me. Um, but I feel like it all comes from Jewish values for me, and that feeling that you need to contribute, you need to make something of yourself. You have gifts to get to contribute to the world that are going to make the world better, and you need to contribute. You need to get out there and, do for the world. Do something that's making this world better in some way. And paid community for me so fit this zone of being able to have a large impact. 14,000 people came through the doors of my previous community.
Yeah.
I could have been a one-on-one high ticket coach. Oh, my offer is $10,000 and coached like 15 people a year or something. And I would not have been able to have the same impact. So I don't know. I'm trying to wind it down. I've obviously flunked retirement once. I was supposed to retire when I sold the business in 21, and I guess I still felt like I had more to contribute.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't done. I'm not that good at doing nothing. I don't know if you've ever had teens around the house and you're
Yeah.
like, what are you doing today? "Oh, nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing to do.
Uh-huh.
I can't do anything. I'm so bored." I'm like, can you teach me how to do nothing?
Yeah.
Because I suck at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually do take one full day off and, read and be and stuff each week, which is a major secret of my success of operating sustainably. Try it, you'll like it.
Yeah.
Especially operating in the online business world where there's so much pressure to be always on. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Resist. You have to, restore your soul. You
Uh-huh.
have to refresh and refill yourself at some point, or you just burn right out.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's kind of a habit. I just get up and I'm like, what do I got to do?
Yep.
Who I got to help? What's going on? I really have three jobs because I ghost wrote a book for someone who was a longtime money manager, and now I invest our money. I fired my financial manager and manage our own investments. So I get up, I trade, and then I start writing book chapters, talking to my community people, doing, seeing who I can help where. I guess, for me, what I just found was that the feeling of helping someone else achieve
Yep.
to me was better than me achieving it myself.
Yeah. I get it.
I would help freelance writers and they'd say, I got a better client and I get paid more now. And, last year we went to Europe for a month and I met three of my former members from the writing community. And, one of them, her husband died weeks after their baby was born. And now she lives in Paris with her daughter, makes a great living, and literally said, "You changed my life to
Yeah.
me." I just don't think it gets any better than
Sure.
that.
Sure.
Just being able to help people achieve the life they want. So it's a little addictive too, just like the byline junkie thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I guess that's why I am still at it. And this one is kind of my give back, which is why our community has a free level, just like come in, get started,
Yeah.
come do, come get some advice,
Yeah.
and I'm loving that.
So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and ran into the 18-year-old version of you and you walked into the room that you were in at that point in your life and there was a film projector and you walked up and clicked play and there was a 60-second highlight reel of this life that's happened and that you've orchestrated and a mix of both, would that young version of you believe that this is the life that you've lived?
I think they would have been like, what is that?
Yeah.
Um, I thought I would never meet someone I felt very unlovable. I thought I would be a starving songwriter living above a drugstore in a garret apartment, in some tiny little apartment, just writing my songs and starving. And I don't know. I guess I didn't believe that I would be able to make an impact,
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
That, came along later. That was like, I mean, I just wanted to sing songs,
Sure.
um, about things that were important to me. Um, that was it. Like, it wasn't very complicated.
So of
Yeah,
everything,
there's a reason that God doesn't let us see the end of the story is
yeah.
because, you might jump off a bridge or you might just not even believe what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So of everything that you've done, overcome, achieved, evolved to, What are you the proudest of? What are you the happiest about?
That I'm married to someone I love spending time with in 100 square feet and getting along with still, and my relationships with my adult kids.
Yeah,
And that was a lot of work. Our younger two had have a lot of issues that are adopted to, and their childhood was real rocky, but we have great relationships now. You talk to two of them almost every day,
yeah.
in one way or another. We text or whatever.
So everyone has a perception of you, Carol. Family, friends, everyone that's in your community, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Someone who is learning not to worry, to be present in the moment I'm in, and not take out any loans from the future worry bank, as my sister likes to call it. And I don't know. I'm far enough down the chain that I am just trying to enjoy each moment before somebody, drops an atomic bomb on us or whatever could happen. I am trying to enjoy being alive in this world every day,
Yeah,
you
well
know.
said. Yeah. So I want to tap into that singer-songwriter soul of yours. If you could get into a time machine and go back and see one concert, one performance,
Mm.
where are you going?
Yeah, there's some people I did not see live. Um, I might have to go with David Bowie. I don't think I saw him live. The Who I only saw like as part of a big concert with many acts. Um, I'd probably go to those two off the top.
You know what? One of the strangest interviews that I ever had as a jazz journalist, you just sparked my memory. You remember the saxophone player that was on his final album? His name was Donnie McCaslin.
Who are we on here? Bowie?
David Bowie. David Bowie
Uh-huh.
plucked Donnie McCaslin out of a club in New York for his
Mm-hmm.
final album. I think it was
Mm.
Star. What's the name of that album? It was his final album, and Donnie was on it. And I interviewed him about a month after Bowie passed. And he just sounded like the whole world had a microscope over him, and he just did not know. Like, he was like, wow. He just didn't know where to go. It was hard to compute. It was one of the stranger moments. It's like one of those things when these people just, without even thinking about it, the whole world's paying attention to him. And he was just a byproduct because it was David Bowie. But anyway, yeah, that would be amazing. Um, so if anybody wants to reach out, be a part of the community, the part of the wonderful work you're doing, anything that's going on in your world, where do they go?
Community Growth Academy on Skool.
Okay,
Just go to the About page, join for free, come on in, see what we got, see what's going on, ask me questions. And
excellent.
there's also on that page is the link to the free case study about how I built and sold the first community and how it generated 6 million and
Okay,
grew to 1,500 members.
good deal. I will put all of those links in the show notes. Carol, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. It's great to meet you. I really appreciate your time today.
Great to meet you. Some questions I hadn't gotten on podcasts before, and I loved it.
Good. No, it was wonderful.